Good morning, everyone. This is Kiran Palakurti, Advocate High Court of Telangana. In this video, I made an attempt to explain the procedure for filing complaints for the offence under Section 138 of Negotiable Instruments Act. Friends, check is a negotiable instrument as defined in Section 6 of Negotiable Instrument Act. The drawer of the check gives it to the payee for discharging any liability, legally enforceable debt or liability. And whenever it is dishonored, that is, if it is returned unpaid for want of insufficient funds in the account maintained by the drawer of the check, the remedy available to the person, the beneficiary, that is payee of the check, is to file a complaint for the offence under Section 138 of Negotiable Instruments Act. 138 of Negotiable Instrument Acts provides punishment for a period of 2 years and twice the amount of the check, and the trial will be conducted before the Judicial Magistrate of First Class Court, and the procedure to be followed is 200 CRPC. The cognizance will be taken by the magistrate by following the procedure under 200 of CRPC. That means if a check is returned or dishonored, the aggrieved person cannot go to the police station and file a larger report and file a report to the police, and police don't have power to register a crime in respect of the offence committed under 138 of Negotiable Instruments Act. So the available remedy is to approach the magistrate's court by filing a complaint under Section 200 of CRPC. Like any other offences where police fails to register a crime, the remedy available to the injured victim or aggrieved person is to approach the magistrate's court first and lodge a complaint, and it will be referred to the police under Section 156 Class 3 of CRPC. Thereafter, the police will investigate the matter and file the report charge sheet. Sometimes the magistrate himself can do the investigation and record the statements of witnesses, and he can take cognizance of the offence. Similarly, when it comes to 138 of Negotiable Instruments Act, the payee has to follow certain technicalities before he can file a complaint, because whenever a check is returned unpaid and returned to the payee, that doesn't itself make an offence. The offence occurs only upon failure of the drawer of the check to make payment of the check amount after a demand has been made by the payee. So, by taking check from the bank, immediately the payee cannot go and file a complaint. Before that, he has to do some exercise. He has to follow some technicalities to make the drawer of the check liable for the offence. I will explain one by one in detail. To make the drawer liable and to say that an offence is committed for the offence under Section 138 of NI Act, there must be a check. A check must have been issued by the drawer in favor of the payee to discharge a legally enforceable debt or other liability. So, a check must have been issued by the drawer of the check in favor of the payee to discharge legally a discharge is liability, that is a legally enforceable debt or other liability. And that check must be presented by the payee within a period of 6 months, as stated in the provision. 138 says it must be presented within a period of 6 months or within the period of its validity. So, as per the guidelines of the Reserve Bank of India, the validity period of every check is now 3 months, reduced to 3 months. Therefore, in view of the provision under 138, since the validity period of the check is 3 months, it must be presented within 3 months. After its presentation, if it is returned unpaid for want of sufficient funds, then it will be given to the payee by mention. The bank people will return it to the payee, stating that the check is returned for want of sufficient funds, and they'll endorse on it. They'll also mention a reason for return of the check, and they'll give a check return memo by specifying the reason. From that date, after receiving the check return memo and after coming to know about the dishonor of the check, the payee has to make a demand to the drawer of the check. Demand of what? Demand of making payment of the check amount and other incidental charges. Check amount primarily. He has to make a demand to the drawer. That demand should be made within 30 days. 30 days of knowledge of return of the check. Within 30 days, he has to make a demand of return of the demand of repayment, that is payment of the check amount, and that demand should be sent to the drawer of the check by way of a registered post, acknowledgement due, and if it is sent, the notice of demand must be sent within a period of 30 days. And after some time, the payee receives the acknowledgement of receipt of notice by the drawer, right? Or the drawer may refuse the postal cover or the notice, or he may try to avoid service of the notice, and the payee receives the said information from the postal department in view of the endorsements made on the postal covers. From that day onwards, he has to wait for a period of 15 days. Either the notice is received, refused, or returned as unclaimed for whatever reason it may be. Because there is a presumption under section 27 of General Clauses Act, which says if a notice is sent to the correct address of the person addressee by way of a registered post acknowledgement due, it is deemed to be served on that person. Am I clear, friends? So if a notice is sent to the correct address of the recipient by way of a registered post acknowledgement due, then there is a presumption under section 27 of General Clauses Act. The notice is deemed to be served, though it is returned as unclaimed, refused, or addressee not found, whatever it is, the reason. After receiving the said acknowledgement or said returned cover, the payee has to wait for how many days? He has to wait for 15 days. 15 days time has to be given to the drawer to make payment of the check amount. After waiting for a period of 15 days, if the drawer of the check fails to pay the check amount, the offence is said to be made out. On the 16th day, the offence is said to be made out. Till then, no offence, because the drawer of the check is having opportunity to pay back the check amount to the payee, right? Then, from 16th day onwards, till 30 days, within 30 days from the 16th day, the payee can file a complaint to the jurisdictional magistrate's court. So, initial period is 30 days for issuing notice, thereafter 15 days waiting period, and a period to be given for the drawer to pay back the check amount as demanded by the payee. Thereafter, another 30 days for filing complaint before the magistrate's court. Then what happens if the 30 days period is lapsed for filing complaint before the magistrate court? There is a remedy under section 142B. Now a complaint can be filed even beyond a period of 30 days from the date of failure of the drawer to make payment of the check amount by filing an application for condonation of the delay. Condonation of delay application on proof of sufficient cause for not filing the complaint within the period, the court can condone the delay and allow the complaint to be registered, and the court can take cognizance even though it is filed beyond the prescribed period of 30 days if there is a sufficient cause. The apex court in a recent judgment stated that you need not file a separate application for condonation of delay. You can mention the reason in the complaint itself for not filing the complaint within time. Therefore, the court will be in a position to appreciate your reason and condone the delay and can take cognizance. So friends, these are the steps, and I will explain these by way of an example with dates. In this example, the date of check is 21st March 2020. So the date, the check on which it is drawn is 21st March 2020. It is given to a person that is payee or holder in due course. Both of them can maintain a complaint. So 21st March 2020 is the date of the check. Therefore, the validity period is 3 months. It can be presented till the month of June, 20th June 2020. In this case, what happened? The check has been presented on 5th April 2020. So the check is presented on 5th April 2020 within the period of its validity, right within the period of its validity. And the payee received the information from the bank that it is dishonored for want of sufficient funds on 7/4/2020. It is dishonored for want of sufficient funds. The return memo was given to the payee on 7th April 2020. So here one more point I want to add is, sometimes the checks may be returned for want of sufficient funds, with a reason that the account has been closed and referred to drawer, signature defers, or some other reason. The bank may return the check for whatever the reason it may be. You can maintain the complaint under section 138 of Negotiable Instruments Act. Because Supreme Court in one case, that is Lakshmi Daikem versus State of Gujarat 2012 judgment, Supreme Court explains cause of returning the check, insufficient funds, is a genus, and the other reasons refer to drawer, account closed, stop payment instructions by the drawer, these are all species. Therefore, whatever the reason it may be, if the check is returned unpaid, that means if the payee did not receive his money under the check when it is presented to the bank, he can maintain a complaint. So here the check has been returned on 7/4/2020. Now from 7/4 onwards, the payee got 30 days time to make demand of check amount. So 6th May 2020 is the last date for sending the notice. So sometimes this may happen. He may forget, or he gave it to his counsel, and his counsel out of his busy schedule, he forgotten to issue notice. Then there is a remedy. He can again represent it. The check can be presented n number of times within the period of its validity. But once notice is issued, notice of demand of payment of check is issued, he cannot resubmit it, represent it subsequent to the issuance of the notice. Therefore, here he properly issued the notice on 7/4/2020. The time is still 7/4/2020 is the date of return. 6/5/2020 is the last date for sending the notice. Here the notice has been sent on 20th April 2020, well within the period of 30 days from the date of receipt of knowledge of return of the check. Then he received the acknowledgement on 27/4/2020. 27th April, the acknowledgement has been received by the payee. in this case the notice has been received, but the drawer of the check did not pay the check amount. So how many days he has to wait? The payee has to wait for 15 days. 15 days time has to be given to the drawer of the check for payment of the check amount. Thereafter he can file complaint. Here when he can file the complaint? In April 3 days and 12 days in May. So 13th May the offence is said to be committed. 13th May is the first time the offence is said to be committed, because 15 days, after 15 days is over, then 13th May he can file a complaint. Here from 13th May onwards up to 12th of June, that is 30 days. Within 30 days he can, here it is filed on 26/5/2020, well within the period of limitation. So here if the complainant, that is payee, could not file the complaint within the period of 30 days also, he can maintain the complaint by filing the complaint along with an application under section 142B of Negotiable Instruments Act, which provides for condonation of delay by the magistrates to take cognizance of the complaints which are filed beyond the period of limitation. So friends, these are very, very important. If these technicalities are not followed, the accused would be getting benefit of acquittal, because these technicalities must be followed. For example, he files a complaint before 13th, on 13th May, after 13th May only he can file the complaint, because he has to wait for 15 days. For example, he filed a complaint on 10th May, that is before expiry of 15 days from the date of receipt of acknowledgement. So it is a premature complaint. Premature complaint, magistrates cannot take cognizance. If the complaint is filed on 13th, then only we can say that it is well within the time. Complaint cannot be filed before the accrual of cause of action. The cause of action accrues to the complainant only upon waiting period of 15 days is over. Then there are several amendments brought to the Negotiable Instruments Act in 2018, 16th August 2018. What happened is, earlier, now the question comes is where to file the complaint. Regarding the jurisdiction I am talking, where to file the complaint. The complaint has to be filed before the court where the payee is having account. Earlier there were so many places, drawer's account, complainant's account within the local limits of the account of the complainant where it is located, drawer's account, advocate's office from where notice is issued, where the loan has taken. All these places were having jurisdiction. But here at present only one place, that is the place where the payee is having the account. Earlier another place, before Dashrath Roop Singh Rathod case, the complainants, after Dashrath Roop Singh Rathod case, the complainants, the accused bank is alone having jurisdiction. When a person, resident of Delhi, gives a check to the person at Hyderabad, this Hyderabad person has to go to file a complaint at Delhi. So to avoid that, the Parliament has amended the Act. Now the bank at which the payee is having account, within the jurisdiction of that bank only the complaint has to be filed. I'll give you an example. The payee complainant is resident of Hyderabad, Chaitanyapuri, and is having an account at ICICI Bank, whereas the drawer is having account at SBI Nalgonda, for instance. So the Nalgonda person, drawer, gave the check to the Chaitanyapuri person, and the Chaitanyapuri drawn at SBI Nalgonda. This Chaitanyapuri complainant payee presented the check in ICICI Bank Chaitanyapuri branch. So the check is returned for want of insufficient funds. Now where to file the complaint? So the bank is located within the jurisdiction of Chaitanyapuri limits. Therefore, he has to file the complaint at LB Nagar Court, Rangareddy Courts Complex. So friends, this is on the aspect of jurisdiction. And the other amendments brought about by 2018 Act are for payment of interim compensation. Interim compensation at two times. One is by the trial court, magistrate level, and by the other by the appellate court. Section 143A says whenever a complaint is filed, the magistrate can award interim compensation up to the limit of 20% of the check amount. So he can award compensation to the complainant upon an application, or he may award the compensation directing the accused to pay the 20% of the up to 20. For example, there is a check of rupees 1 lakh, then he can file, he can award compensation up to an extent of 20,000. For example, if a check is for amount of rupees 1 crore, the magistrate, by using his discretion, he can award compensation, 20% of compensation up to 20 lakhs, but sometimes he may award less also. The outer limit is 20%. And whenever an order is made, within 60 days of that order, the accused has to pay the interim compensation. And one more aspect is there. All the offences, the offence under section 138 is a compoundable in nature. Earlier, the accused has no option. He has to undergo trial once he failed to pay the check amount within the 15 days period, and he fails to respond to the notice, and once a cognizance has been taken, it is the prerogative of the complainant to accept for compounding. Now, on the date of first appearance, the accused can approach the magistrate court and tender the check amount, and by showing his readiness to pay the check amount to the complainant, and he can file an application to that effect by stating that he is ready to pay the check amount, he did not receive the notice, or whatever the reason it may be, he can offer the check amount to the complainant, and the magistrate may, by using his discretion, can close the complaint. This has been mentioned, laid down by the apex court in the case of Meters Mills case in recent judgment of the Supreme Court. And another compensation at the appellate level is, appellate court can also award compensation by virtue of section 148 of Negotiable Instruments Act. Appellate court also can award compensation, and it is not less than 20%. The magistrate court is up to 20%. Here it is not less than 20% to the complainant. So the appellant accused has to pay the interim compensation at the trial court and as well as at the appellate court. Whatever the compensation awarded to be awarded before the appellate court is in addition to the interim compensation already granted by the magistrate court. So there are two levels. And for example, if the accuser succeeds before the trial court and if he succeeds before the appellate court, the complainant who already received the interim compensation has to pay back it. Right? It is like restitution under section 144 of CPC. He has to pay back the interim compensation which has already been received by him because he lost the case. If the accused succeeds either at the complainant trial court level or at the appellate court level or before the high court, whatever it is. So friends, this is a procedure with regard to complaints under section 138 of Negotiable Instruments Act. In the next video, I am going to explain what is the procedure to be followed in case of accused is a company or directors are how many directors are liable and when they are not liable under section 141 of Negotiable Instruments Act. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any queries, you can post the comments. Thank you.